Legend says that St. Patrick himself took the first golf swings on the island of Ireland, striking stones with his stick in the hills of Downpatrick. This country's connection to the game is as deep-rooted as its patron saint. But here, tradition doesn't mean tired. It means sweetly struck irons through towering dunes and warm welcomes into the clubhouses that sit at the end of them. Golf in Northern Ireland is more than a pastime. It's the beating heart of the towns that dot the coastline. I'm here to explore them and to understand how this small corner of sandy links has become one of golf's greatest destinations. Welcome to the Northern Ireland road trip.
1/10 of the flag.
After touching down in Belfast, we make a beeline for the north coast. But with only a few hours left of daylight, 9 holes is all we have time for. What better way to brush off the cobwebs than a quick loop by the sea? We've arrived at Bushfoot Golf Club, our first stop of the ultimate Northern Ireland golf trip. Sandwiched in between the Giant's Causeway and Royal Portrush, it's a 9-holer that's got quite a lot of attention recently, and arriving on the first tee, I can see why. In a land of championship golf courses, what do you think a 9-holer has to offer?
For the golf tourist, it probably offers them a little break from that exactly being beat up maybe every day.
It seems like for a small club has endured, through the last century of ups and downs.
The area has always been a holiday area, and so people are very accepting of others coming in and enjoying what they've enjoyed. If you're 10 minutes late for your tee time, we'll work something out to get you there. That's the kind of small club environment that we are, and it's part of the community. We're not competing with each other, we're trying to work together.
Very much looking
Thank
forward
you.
to getting out there.
Yeah, we'll get you up there.
Cheers. What's the line roughly, Ian? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Established in 1890, Bushfoot has adapted and progressed through a century of trying times. What was once a sheep-grazed 9-holer now boasts the biggest roster of Pine Valley members of any course in Northern Ireland. It's clear to see why the golfers of New Jersey fall in love here. The old tram lane bisects the course, taking residents of nearby Bushmills to the Giant's Causeway. Flanking the opening holes to the left is the River Bush, the water source for the local distilleries located just a few miles inland. Ripped flag's always a sign of windy conditions. This is Bushfoot's answer to the road hole on the old course, over the greenskeeper's shed to the fairway beyond, and the line is the TV aerial. You can see the vision. Okay, 9 holes at Bushfoot complete, the perfect start to a Northern Ireland road trip. The 19th holes of Northern Ireland don't always hug the closing greens. A few miles along the road in Portrush sits the perfect spot for a post-round debrief. No visit to Portrush is complete without a pint at the harbour bar. The weather's a bit bleak, so a cold pint by the fire is sounding quite appealing. Amongst the almost 3,000 golf courses that line the shores of the United Kingdom, 10 of them boast a badge of distinction that places them in a bracket of their own. The Open Championship first came to Portrush in 1951, but political unrest in the years that followed saw golf's oldest major drift away from Irish shores. Thankfully, it made a triumphant return in 2019. It's time to channel my inner Shane Lowry. We've arrived at Royal Portrush, our first championship links of the trip, the 2025 Open Championship venue. I've never played here before. I'm very excited to get out there, although it is gusting at about 40 miles an hour, so there could be some lost balls out there.
And through right half of the fairway there, James. Chat. Yeah, the Valley's very underrated golf course.
The clubs that were formed in the late 19th century often seem like a distant part of ancient golf history. But at Royal Portrush, that 150-year-old story is pulled into the present. The people here are inextricably linked with the game, but some are more connected to these fairways than others.
Good birdie.
So Gary, your grandfather, P.G. Stevenson, who that hole is named after.
Yeah, he was a head professional here from the early 1920s to 1977, and he actually helped develop that hole.
Wow.
So the club kindly named it after my grandfather. So I've always a soft spot for it. He was great friends with Fred Daly, and Fred actually won the Open in 1947, and my grandfather actually made his driver.
And that would have been a sort of old persimmon
Oh,
head.
old wooden headed, exactly, old wooden head, which is unbelievable.
Okay.
Especially when you birdied it out, held the birdie up there as well, so well done.
That was for Grandad.
It was indeed, well done, exactly.
Should be on that bank,
I think
maybe?
it's over that, it was over the bunker roll, okay. Shot.
We've arrived at Calamity, the 16th hole at Royal Portrush, probably one of the most iconic in the whole country. A 230-yard par 3 across a massive ravine into a 30-mile-an-hour wind. This is Bobby Locke's hollow, and during the Open in 1951, he hit into this hollow and managed to make 4 threes. So does that mean I'm going to make a 3? No, you're going to make a 2. Go that way. Me and Bobby Locke we're much the same.
There's a cornerstone of Northern Irish culture that makes even the ancient game seem like a youngster. At the start of the 12th century, monks returned to Ireland from their missionary work equipped with knowledge of the distillation process. They applied this alchemy to grain sourced from the surrounding fields, producing an amber liquid that they labelled Ishka Baha, or water of life. Centuries on, the old Bushmills distillery, just a stone's throw from Portrush, was granted the first licence to distill.
Most people around the world would consider whiskey a Scottish thing. Why do you think that is?
So the early 1900s, 1910s, there were 116 distilleries in Ireland. But then when Prohibition hit, that decimated the Irish distilling industry to the point where in the 1930s there were only 2 Irish distilleries. 20 years ago there were only 4 major distilleries. Today there's 42 distilleries. So the last 10 years has seen a real surge. You have more control the higher up you're holding it. Dip it in, listen for the sound. And then raise your glass. Nicely done.
Thanks.
Does the second sip make a difference?
The first was quite a long time ago. Yeah, you can take that. Whoa! Referee! Merry from our whiskey tasting, we've stumbled across this 6-hole putting green, which sits right outside Dunluce Lodge, our accommodation for the evening, which sits right on the edge of Royal Portrush. The absolute dream scenario for an evening of a golf trip. Hello.
One side.
Oh!
Well done,
Yeah,
well
well
done.
played, man. Well done.
Everywhere you look, this land has an old story to tell, but this isn't a country that pins its hopes on the romance of a bygone era. Nestled in the dunes between the Riverban and Portstewart Strand is a mind-blowing golf course wielding past and present to shape the next decade of golf on the Northern Irish coast.
It's an early morning here at Portstewart Golf Club, host of the 2017 Irish Open and by all accounts the most beautiful front nine in the entire country. The first hole is set to take my breath away. Doesn't look like the rough over the bunkers is too bad, so I almost feel like hitting a drive.
You need to be inside that. Nicely finished. Good par. See, they're still there out in this right hand side. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Well, I
Thanks,
hope you
Gary.
enjoyed the front nine there.
Yeah, certainly did, yeah. So my understanding is that there's a local maths teacher who built it was 7 of the holes, is that right?
In the front nine. Des walked the front nine in a piece of land called Sisley Hollow, and
he came in, he basically says I can put 7 great golf holes out there. So from number 2 right through to number 8 was a mathematics teacher.
Wow.
Great golfer in his own right, but what a job.
And
Absolutely fantastic.
no history of golf course architecture with him.
No.
He was just a bit of a golf
No,
nerd.
Yeah. What a great job he did. This place is always renowned, you know, for the front 9, you know, especially, you know, but more so, you know, the back 9's getting the credit that it's due, you know, but they have a vision like that. It's phenomenal. Whenever people hear the name, they're expecting some top-end course architect, you know, and he's a mathematics teacher. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It is. What's the goal for the next sort of 5 years at Portstewart?
Through being progressive, our job is to preserve, you know, what we have, and we are in an amazing position because of the love affair that North Americans have with championship links golf in Ireland and Scotland. But that obviously gives us the resources to invest and to make things better, and it never stops. But fundamentally and ultimately, we are a members club, and everything that we do is in order to try and preserve and develop the club for future generations of members.
Mother Nature built more in Northern Ireland than dunes to play golf through. A few miles along the coast is the country's most visited tourist attraction, drawing over 1 million people each year. Two differing stories explain the Causeway's beginnings. The first, that a 60-million-year-old volcanic eruption flooded the land with lava. As it cooled, the most efficient way for it to contract was in these hexagonal pillars. But I prefer the second story. As tensions grew between Irish giant Finn McCool and his Scottish neighbour Benandonner, Finn built a causeway across the sea to confront him. But when he arrived, he realised his mistake. Benandonner was enormous. Frightened, McCool sprinted back to his home shores, but his Scottish foe chased him down. As McCool approached, his wife sensed the panic. Thinking quickly, she swaddled him like a baby and cradled him in her lap. As Benandonner caught up, he addressed the lady and immediately grew concerned. If this was the baby, what did his father look like? Terrified, he fled back to Scotland, tearing up the causeway as he went. Our longest drive of the trip takes us south to the town of Newcastle, where back in 1889 the railway arrived, connecting this remote town to the country's central hubs. Looking to capitalise on the newfound infrastructure, a group of Belfast businessmen set out to build a golf course. The initial 9-hole layout was later extended to 18 by none other than old Tom Morris, and 100 years on, this expanse of mounds and hollows regularly finds itself at the top of the global rankings.
We've arrived at officially the #1 ranked golf course in the entire world, Royal County Down, at the foot of the Mourne Mountains. It's a brisk morning, but I'm very much looking forward to getting out there. I've had the pleasure of playing at Royal County Down before. About 5 years ago, the Irish Amateur was here 2 years in a row. So I'm back in slightly less intense circumstances, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the round this time. We're on the famous 4th hole at Royal County Down. I've seen paintings of this exact vista the world over. What is it about this hole that makes it so famous? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Back here it's over 200 yards. It's downhill, it's looking over the Mourne Mountains. Rory McIlroy reckons it's the best hole in the world.
Every time I look at the Golf World rankings, County Down is in the top 5, maybe top 3 consistently every year. I just wondered if there's anything about the people at the club here, the attitude they have towards the course that allows them to perform at such a high level consistently.
You actually sort of said it yourself, it's the people. You know, there's so many people around this golf club that actually make this golf course one of the best in the world. You know, all the way from our inside staff to our green staff, our course manager has been here for nearly 50 years.
Wow.
The pros are absolutely world class.
Everything from the details, I mean these grass paths, all the way to the welcome that you get in the clubhouse, it's just the best in the world, really.
That's what we do well.
Yeah, well you do it very well, so thank you very much.
I don't want a magazine to tell me what the best golf course in the world is. I want to decide for myself. I want to analyse the views, glide my wedge through the turf, roll my putts across the lips, and come up with my own story. But at Royal County Down, my resistance to the rankings is futile. Walking off the 9th tee leaves no doubt as to why this place has a stranglehold on the world's top 5. But every so often, the elements that shape this coastline remind you of their presence.
First time the waterproofs are going on in Northern Ireland in October, I can't really complain. The weather has turned, the mountains of Mourne have all but disappeared behind the rain clouds, but there is no way I'm coming to Royal County Down and not finishing my round. Our Northern Irish rainstorm has officially arrived. We're going to head to Sleep Donard for a bit of warmth and recovery before the final day of the Northern Ireland road trip. I'm going to get inside. You can't come to Northern Ireland at the end of October and expect a flawless week of weather. We've had it pretty good so far, but we got caught out this afternoon. We're in the comfort of Sleeve Donard now, the rain battering off the windows.
Our final stop of the trip takes us just a few miles along the coast to a course that is home to a special piece of Northern Irish history. The clubhouse that sits on the edge of Ardglass was once a fortified warehouse for 15th century importers and has stood steadfast to the elements for over 600 years, making it the oldest golf clubhouse in the world. Today's wind might not wake the castle from its slumber, but it certainly has my attention.
If you're feeling a little jaded towards the end of a golf trip, this is the place to come. We're at Ardglass Golf Club, home to the oldest clubhouse in the world, a castle dating back to 1405. The holes run all the way along the coastline. The 11th in particular is jaw-dropping. They've wrapped the flags up so that they don't tear in the wind. It's blowing like 40 miles an hour.
The wind that blows in from the Irish Sea is the same one that carved the dunes at County Down. Living in the shadow of its heavyweight champion neighbour has allowed more people than ever to witness the beauty of Ardglass. But this is a course worthy of its own headlines. From the Walker Cup stars that line the walls of the clubhouse, to the heroics of the member who built the seawall that runs alongside its signature hole.
We've reached the 11th hole at Ardglass Golf Club, the trophy hole here, a par 5 that runs all the way along the coastline, overlooking Coney Island in the bay. It's blowing about 50 miles an hour, but it's all the more fun because of it. If this makes it onto solid ground, I will be amazed. Well, it's solid ground, but it's called the beach. Potentially the final putt of the Northern Ireland road trip. Lads, well done.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well played, well done. Golf arrived in Ireland in the mid-1800s, came across the sea from Scotland, but the game that took root here feels in a subtle way different to its Scottish origins. And I think the basis of that is with the people here. There's this deep found knowledge for the game. There's this unpretentious pride for the historical fairways that they're walking on, and just the warmest welcomes you'll find anywhere in the world. It's a great reminder for me that we have got the best that world golf has to offer right on our doorstep. I mean, you could take a trip to every corner of Ireland, spend a week there and not run out of jaw-dropping golf courses, but Northern Ireland has to be at the top of that list.